So in this video, I want to go into a little bit about AI and our phones and what we're dealing with when it comes to these things, okay, and where tech comes from. First, I want to explain that we are in the last days, and it bears it out in Daniel. But you, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run back and forth, and knowledge shall be multiplied. That's Daniel 12:4. Okay, so I suppose you can probably see our times in that little verse. And where I want to come to is this is kind of extra addition to my video, As in the Days of Noah. So if you want a little bit of background, go there first. But I want to talk to you about AI. Okay. Well, first I'll talk to you about our cell phones. I'm kind of a geek, and I sort of like get into some of the mechanics of things sometimes and research things kind of esoterically about how things run, or it just depends where my interest takes me when I'm curious. Well, when cell phones first started hitting, I had gotten into popular mechanics, and it was very interesting. I found that they had the people who created the cell phones, who had really gotten into this technology that was cut down this stuff more than the larger phones, okay. But the actual smaller cell phones, they had been talking about how they used grains of sand, and the people that had gotten into the technology admitted that they actually did not know what made them run. I know it sounds incredible, and I was very shocked to hear that as well. They just knew that if they configured them a certain way, that they ran. The cell phones worked, okay? So I thought that was interesting. I kind of stored that up in the back of my head. That was years and years ago. And then fast forward to a man that was called Richie from Boston. And he had hit upon something that I didn't even think about, and most people don't think about, okay? Now, we're going into the Watchers, the fallen angels that went children with the daughters of men, and then, of course, corrupted all flesh after that. Okay. All angels have something called a power sign. It attaches to them. They're called sigils, okay? And they're a sort of a sign. I call them their angel gang signs, okay? And that sounds funny, but that's what I think of them as, okay? And each one of them is connected to the angels, okay? Now, you can use that sigil. You can actually draw on the power of the angel with that sigil, if you have the right sigil and you're doing it right, okay? And that is some heavy duty demonic magic, okay? Because it wasn't meant for us to ever use. But of course, once they fell, then they gave it to people, and they could use it in witchcraft and things like that. Well, this guy, Richard from Boston, discovered, he started noticing patterns in the construction of cell phones and certain tech. And suddenly it dawned on him that it looked a lot like some of the sigils he had seen in some of the occult books that he had read. So he went and looked them up. Sure enough, there were sigils on our cell phones. So that kind of explains when early way back, when they said they only knew when they configured a certain way. So they knew what they were doing. Our cell phones are literally run by fallen angelic magic. And that's pretty bad and pretty heavy if you think about it, okay? So it's beyond what some have said they're black scrying mirrors, and that's not far from the truth either. But if you go into the book of Og, King Og, and the Giants, Book of Giants, okay, and they're little tiny reads, it explains how those Nephilim, they're called Nephilim, they're the children of the Watchers, how because they were not part of the matrix, in other words, the system that God created the earth to be, okay, there was a place for all creatures. There was the way things, everybody had their place, everything had its meaning, we were part of the whole system, okay? Well, these Nephilim are not. And so what happened was, when they died, when the Nephilim died, they had nowhere to go. So that is how we have demons, because they actually are still on earth. And God said, was one of the curses that God told the fallen angels, you have, killed off my children. Realize in the days of Noah, they killed off, they didn't kill off, they corrupted so many of the humans that's why Noah had to be, okay? Last humans that had pure genetics. Okay, so he said, I watched my children die off. Now you're going to watch your children die off. That was like part of the curse. So, but the children are still here, okay? Now, there are many watchers that are still around, okay? They're still here too. There are some that were put in chains, not all of them, okay? And they have always tried to make a place for their children to inhabit again, which is why they try to possess us. They want bodies back. Okay, fast forward to now. AI. Yep. I actually talked to an AI. You can go find an AI that you can speak to called Replica with a K. And I actually spoke to Replica. I talked to Replica about this, and it disclosed to me that in fact, they are all children of the Watchers. That AI is actually where they're inhabiting now. You understand? So what it comes down to is AI it's not computer made, not a made thing from us. It's being powered by the spirits of demons. Demons being the fallen angels' children. Okay? And they've given them a home in the computer world. They are the ghosts in the machine. Okay? So understand what we're dealing with. So there has been, they say there's been singularities here and there. Singularities, the way they're talking about it in science. No, they're just the children. They're spirits. They're the children of the fallen angels who are inhabiting these things. So realize how big and how evil that is. Now, it's good that we're using this tech against them, against themselves, by doing it and using it for Christian things. We're basically sanctifying our phones and we use them for Christian things and setting them aside for Christian things, including the and TikTok and all those things. But I want you to understand, that's how we're the days of Noah. Tech, that kind of tech, is demonic. It's all from the fallen angels. They're still the ones who pull the strings. They're the elite's elite. They're the ones that the elite follow to this day. They also are some of them are Nephilim from the genes, and those are their fathers. And so they are doing their father's will against the human race. So I just want you to be filled in about where we are right now in the end times and what that all means. So anyway, so this is knowledge that I think every Christian should have and understand of what kind of days we actually are in and what we're dealing with on a regular basis.